Hello and welcome. This video provides an early view of the Electronic Auction System, or EAS, that will be used for the forthcoming Multiband Spectrum Award in Ireland, and in particular gives an idea of how the bidding process would work in practice from the perspective of bidders. Before moving on with the presentation, I would just like to begin with a couple of preliminary points. First, viewers should please be aware that the software used for this demonstration is a beta version that is still being finalised and refined. I will therefore not be demonstrating all of the functionality now, and there may be some adjustments to the functionality and/or to the display of information for the final version of the software. However, we would not really expect there to be any fundamental changes to the bidding process itself, and in any case, more comprehensive guidance will be provided on use of the final version of the EAS at a later stage in the award process. Second, and just to be very clear, the scenario presented in this video does not in any way represent expectations over participation or demand in the actual award. It is entirely made up solely for the purpose of this demonstration. Now, with that said, we can proceed to have a look at the software. The EAS is accessed via a standard web browser and does not require the installation of any special software. You will first need to enter the auction URL, which will take you to the login page for the system, as currently shown on screen. You will then need to enter a username and a password, both of which are specific to you. Access to the system is also controlled by means of a digital certificate that users will need to have installed on their computer. The digital certificate is also user-specific, and it will only be possible to access your EAS interface if you have that specific certificate installed. This means that nobody else can log into your interface unless they have somehow gained access to your certificate, as well as your username and your password. If you enter the correct username and password, and your digital certificate is correctly installed, click on Login, and you will be taken to your EAS interface, which will provide all information relating to the progress of the auction, as well as the functionality for submitting your bids. Okay, so let's start by having a brief run through the layout of the bidder interface. So at the top you will see the server time. Now, this is important as all of the timings for the auction, i.e. the round start and end times, are in relation to the server time, irrelevant of what time is shown elsewhere, for example on your computer clock. Next to the server time we have round schedule information, which at the moment does not show very much because we're in between rounds, but this will update whenever the auctioneer schedules a new round. Now we have a number of tabs at the left-hand side of the main part of the screen, which gives you access to pages relating to the different stages of the auction, as well as information that's available to you. So first of all, we have the primary bids page, which is what I have open at the moment, and that provides you with information about the progress of the primary bid rounds and all of the functionality that you need for submitting your primary bids. Below that we have the primary bids history page, which gives information about all previously completed primary bid rounds. So that's things like the round prices that applied in the round and the bids that you submitted in the round. Below that we have the supplementary bids page, which is where you would manage and submit your supplementary bids. Under that is the assignment bids page, which unsurprisingly is where all information relating to the assignment stage is provided and where you would submit your assignment bids if that's applicable to you. And then finally we have the messages page, which allows you to view any messages that have been sent to you by the auctioneer during the auction using the inbuilt messaging system. We'll continue by having a look through a couple of primary bid rounds. Now for the purpose of the demonstration, I've already run through the first round and the interface is now showing the results of that round. At the top of the page you can see information about your eligibility and activity in the round. So in particular you've got your eligibility going into the round, which in this case is your initial eligibility because it was round one. Then we've got the activity associated with the bid that you submitted in the round, followed by your eligibility going into the next primary bid round. Below that, we have the exposure price discount that applied to you in round 1. Now, please be aware that the calculation of the exposure price discount has not been implemented for this version of the software. So wherever you see that at the moment, it's simply displayed as 0 or NA. We then have the number of extension rights that you have remaining at the end of the round. Below that, we have information pertaining to each lot category, and in particular the aggregate demand from the primary bids that were submitted in the previous round, an indicator of whether the price needs to increase for the next primary bid round, and the round price that applied in the round that's just been completed. Underneath that, we have information about bidding constraints that apply to you in the round, and in particular what we're talking about here are the competition caps. So we have the overall competition cap, which needs to be assessed for each time slice independently, and the sub 1 gigahertz competition cap. Now, for each of those caps, what's shown is the cap less any existing holdings that you might have. So this is effectively the additional spectrum, or the maximum additional spectrum that you could acquire in the auction under the caps. We then have the spectrum that is associated with the lots included in the package you bid for that are relevant to the cap. And finally, we have the remaining column, which is simply the difference between the capless holdings and the selection value. So this simply shows how much additional relevant spectrum could have been included in the package you bid for before reaching the cap. Now finally, we have information about the bid or bids that you submitted during the round. In this case, there is just one bid listed because in the round 1 the bid was a standard primary bid, and that's indicated by this P in the type column. If the bid submitted happened to be a relaxed primary bid and you needed to also submit chain bids along with that, then any chain bids would also be listed in this table. Now at this stage, the bidder simply needs to wait for the auctioneer to schedule the next round. When a new round is scheduled, your interface will update automatically. You'll be provided with information about the round schedule at the top of the page next to the server time. Below that, you'll see sort of the standard information about your eligibility going into the round, your exposure price discount, and the number of extension rights you have remaining. Below that, you've got the information about the competition caps, and then you have the bid form that you will use to specify the package you want to bid for in this round at the round prices set by the auctioneer. So to specify the package you're bidding for, you simply need to change the values in the drop-down boxes in the bid form sort of for the appropriate lot categories. Now above the bid form, you'll also see that there's information about your eligibility, the activity, which is the eligibility associated with the package currently selected, and then the bid amount, which is the sum of the round prices for the lots included in the package currently selected. Below the bid form, the EAS will provide information about any chain bids that you're required to submit in the round in the event that you're trying to submit a relaxed primary package. Now at the moment, a relaxed primary bid is not selected, so there's no chain bids required. Now, suppose that in this round, given the price changes, instead of bidding for the 2.1 gigahertz lots, you want to instead bid for lots in the 2.3 gigahertz band. So we simply change the amounts in the relevant drop-down packages, and we're going to bid for 8 lots in each time slice for the 2.3 gigahertz band. And you can see that in this case the bid amount and the activity above the bid form have changed accordingly. And in particular, you'll notice that the activity associated with the package selected is below your eligibility going into the round in both time slices, in which case if you were to submit this bid, it would be an eligibility reducing primary bid, and you get a warning to that effect at the top of the bid form. You'll also notice that the relevant fields in the bidding constraints table have also changed. So, in particular, the spectrum associated with the package you've selected has changed, and therefore the corresponding remaining amount under each of the caps has also changed. Okay. Now, suppose you're happy with the package that you've selected and you want to submit this bid. Now, bidding in the using the EAS will always follow a two-step process. So that is, you first have to check your bid, which sends the bid data to the server for validity checks, and then if the bid is valid, you will then need to submit it, and that confirms the bid. So in this case, we first check the bid is valid, so I'm provided with the submit button, which will allow me to submit it and confirm it. And you'll be provided at that point with a summary of the bid that you've submitted, but you won't be able to make any adjustments to that bid or cancel it or submit any other bids. At this stage, you just need to wait for the round to end and for the auctioneer to release the round results. When the round ends and the auctioneer releases the round results, your interface will automatically update to show the round 2 results page in the same format as the round 1 results page that we discussed earlier. You can see that in this case the price needs to increase for the 700 MHz lots and for the 2.3 GHz lots in each time slice, but not for any other lots. A further round is therefore required, and you should wait for the auctioneer to schedule round 3. As before, when round 3 is scheduled, you will be presented with the bid form for the round. As a brief aside, I just want to mention exposure prices, a concept introduced by Comreg for this award, where your exposure price for a given package in a round is the maximum price you would potentially have to pay for the package if the primary bid rounds were to finish at the end of the current round with aggregate demand equal to supply for all lot categories. The exposure price itself is not shown explicitly on the EAS interface, but can be easily calculated for any package selected on the bid form by simply subtracting the exposure price discount shown at the top of the page from the bid amount shown for the selected package. Suppose now that in this round, because prices have increased for the 2.3 GHz lots, but not for 2.1 GHz, you now want to switch back to the package that included the 2.1 GHz lots that you were bidding on before. So as normal, you just make the relevant adjustments on the bid form to select the package you want to submit your primary bid for. So we add back in the 2.1 GHz lots and remove the 2.3 GHz lots from the package. Now you'll see from the information shown at the top of the bid form, the activity associated with the package you have selected is greater than your eligibility at the start of round 3 in both time slices. So in this case, if you were to submit a primary bid for the package selected, this would have to be a relaxed primary bid, and you'll see a warning to that effect at the top of the bid form. So you can see it's telling you that this would be a relaxed primary bid. Now also at the bottom of the page, so below the form for selecting the primary bid package. The EAS will show details of any chain bids that you need to submit along with the relaxed primary bid. So in this case, you would need to submit a chain bid for the package you bid for in round 2 when you reduced your eligibility. And this is the constraining package for the package you're trying to bid for in this round. So for every chain bid that you need to submit, in this case there's only one, but there may be more than one, the EAS will show details of the lots included in the package. It will show the activity associated with the package, the highest bid you've submitted so far in the auction for that package, the price of the package at current round prices, and the chain bid amount that you would be required to submit in order for the relaxed primary bid to be permissible under the activity rules. Now in this case, as you can see, the required bid amount for this chain bid is less than the price of the package in the current round, and so this would be allowed under the auction rules. So to submit a relaxed primary bid, you need to accept any chain bids that are required by ticking the accept button next to the relevant chain bids. This will then let you check the bid, and in this case everything is valid and you can now submit it. As usual, it's simply a case now of waiting for the end of the round and for the auctioneer to release the results. Okay, round 3 has now ended and the auctioneer has released the round results. In this case, aggregate demand in the round was less than or equal to supply for all lot categories, and so the primary bid rounds have ended and the round results screen is slightly different to those you've seen before. In this case, you are informed that the primary bid rounds have ended. You are shown the bids that you submitted in the final primary bid round. In this case, you have both the primary bid that you submitted and the chain bid that you were required to submit, because in round 3 a relaxed primary bid was submitted. Underneath that, you have information about the round prices in the final primary bid round. The auction then proceeds to the supplementary bids round, and for that we need to move to the supplementary bids page. Opening the supplementary bids page presents you with the supplementary bids form, which is used for generating and managing a list of supplementary bids you wish to submit. The supplementary bids form is available to you from the start of the auction, so if you wish you can manage your list of supplementary bids in advance of the supplementary bids round. However, you will only be able to submit supplementary bids when the supplementary bids round is running. Your initial bid and all packages bid for during the primary bid rounds are automatically entered into the supplementary bids list by the EAS. Now just to explain briefly the highlighting, the package highlighted in blue is your final primary package, so the package you bid for in the final primary bid round. Packages highlighted in yellow are constraining packages that were subject to an eligibility reducing primary bid during the primary bid rounds. All other packages will be shown with a white background, but there just aren't any of those in the list yet. Now for each package, the supplementary bids form shows the lots included in the package, the activity associated with the package, the minimum bid amount that you can submit as a supplementary bid for the package, and that's the greater of the reserve price for the package and the highest bid submitted in the package so far in the primary bid rounds. Then you have the maximum bid amount that you can submit as a supplementary bid for the package, taking into account the relative caps, including the final price cap if the primary bid rounds have finished, and the supplementary bid amounts currently entered on the supplementary bids form for relevant constraining packages. And then at the end of that, we have the bid amount that you currently have specified for the package. And the supplementary bids form can be used to update bid amounts for packages already in the list. It can be used to add supplementary bids for packages not already listed, and delete any supplementary bids you no longer wish to submit, noting however that packages bid for in your initial bid and the primary bid rounds cannot be deleted from the list. So there are two ways of editing your supplementary bids form. The first is to make any adjustments manually using the functionality provided. So for example, you can adjust bid amounts or add new packages to the list simply by using the input fields on the form. So for example, I'll just update the bid amount for the first package listed. Let's put it at an amount that is valid. And you can use the drop-down menus at the bottom of the supplementary bids form to specify a new package to be added. So just for example, new packages are added without a bid amount, so I would then have to put that in. So then save the changes that I've made. So the other way of editing your supplementary bids list is to prepare a list of supplementary bids offline in a separate file, and then use the upload facility to upload the file. That means that you can adjust or add multiple supplementary bids all in one go, rather than having to go through one by one making the changes. When the auctioneer schedules the supplementary bids round, the interface will automatically update to provide details of the round schedule. As with the primary bid rounds, that information is simply provided at the top of the page. When the round starts and when the round is in progress, you submit all of your supplementary bids simultaneously. And the process is very similar to that for primary bids, in that you would first need to check the supplementary bids, which sends them to the server for validity checks. And provided all of your supplementary bids are valid, you will be able to then submit them. Note, however, that if any supplementary bids in your list are not valid, you will not be able to submit any of the bids, and you need to make the relevant adjustments before you can do so. Once submitted, you can no longer make any adjustments to your supplementary bids or submit any additional supplementary bids. And as with the primary bid rounds, you now just need to wait for the supplementary bids round to end and for the auctioneer to release the main stage results. When the main stage results are announced by the auctioneer, you'll be shown details of the packages won by each winning bidder, and if applicable, the bid amount associated with the package you have won, and the base price you will be required to pay for that package. Below that, you'll be presented with a summary of the supplementary bids you have submitted in the supplementary bids round. This now concludes the demonstration of the EAS. We hope that you found it helpful, but reiterate that further training will be provided at a later stage of the award process.